I asked my followers for their spiciest sports hot takes, and some of these are absolutely unhinged. I got nearly 1,000 submissions, but I narrowed it down to 50, and we're gonna go through each one to see if the take is valid or invalid. As we go through, if you have any strong feelings about any of them one way or the other, drop a comment below and get the debates going. I grouped our 50 in a few different categories, and up first is fan etiquette. M. Delrose said, once your team is eliminated, you can't wear their gear until the next season starts. This one is crazy, definitely invalid right here. I see no reason why you can't wear a baseball jersey in the winter or a basketball jersey in the summer. As long as you're not wearing like a football jersey to a hockey game, I feel like you're totally fine. Sonrissa Wood said, wearing a jersey from neither team is stupid. Rep one of the teams or wear normal clothes. This one is definitely valid. You'll see this all the time if you go to a lot of games, and it's especially bad if you're wearing a rival team jersey to a matchup your team's not even involved in. It almost seems like you're inviting trouble at that point, so just don't do that. Ham Gam Gee said, shorts and flip-flops should be banned at hockey games, even if it's in Florida. Cover your legs. I don't see why this would be a problem. I'm definitely going invalid here. If you want to wear shorts to an ice rink, I feel like you're totally fine doing that. Just don't do it around this person, I guess. JP said, grown men who bring their glove to a baseball game should be thrown in the sea. Definitely gonna go invalid for this take, but there are a few stipulations. As long as you're giving kids their space and not robbing anybody from catching baseballs, I feel like you're fine as an adult having a glove. Now, if you're robbing kids, knocking them over, that's one thing. But for one, catching a baseball is super awesome. And two, you might be keeping yourself safe during the game, so definitely don't hate that. Valmel said, if I catch a foul ball / homer, I'm not giving it to a random kid. Not to be mean, I've been waiting for years. I've heard this sentiment from so many people, and I have to go valid on this take. So many people dream of catching a foul ball or a home run, and it didn't happen during their childhood. As long as you didn't totally rob a kid on a ball that was being thrown to them, I feel like it's definitely acceptable to keep it. Again, that's just such an awesome memory to have. Matt Mulgrew said, you have to throw any home run ball hit by the opposing team back onto the field. I'm gonna go invalid for this one. I feel like catching a home run at a major league game is so special, and you see it all the time, people trying to pressure you into throwing it back. But if it means a lot to you, definitely keep it. You might get heckled for the rest of the game, but you'll have that baseball for the rest of your life. Don't give in to the peer pressure if you really want it. Zach is God said, sports events are better if you go alone, cheap last minute tickets, and no one to distract you. I'm gonna go with semi-valid on this. I absolutely love going to games alone. I get there as early as I want, I sit wherever I want, and I do whatever I want at the game. But there are definitely times when it's fun to go with somebody else or with a group of people. So I'm definitely a fan of going to a game by yourself, but it has its place for sure. Matt Lukin said, the wave is a disgrace to sports. This take is absolutely valid. I feel pretty passionately about this one. It's one thing if fans do the wave when the home team is up by a lot near the end of the game, but so often it's a close game late and fans start doing the wave. Sure, it looks cool, but it's distracting, especially in those big moments. And when it's going around, people usually aren't paying attention, and that's when a lot of injuries happen from foul balls. So it definitely has its time and place, but that's pretty far in between. Chad Rusty said, people who get up from their seat to go to the concession stand during play are the worst. This is absolutely valid. I feel like it happens so often where people make you stand up during the middle of an inning or during the action in a basketball or hockey game. There are so many chances to get up during a break if you want to. No need to inconvenience everybody else like that. With the majority of my following being baseball fans, I got a lot of baseball hot takes. Andy the G said, the Manfred runner is good for baseball and teams seem to still have trouble strategizing it. This is definitely valid. I was definitely apprehensive about the runner on second in extra innings, but I feel like after a few years of being implemented, it's positive for the game. Extra innings don't go as long and teams aren't wearing out their bullpen like they used to. Andy does make a good point here though. Teams are definitely underutilizing it. All it takes is a little bit of small ball. You move the runner over and you get that runner in, but it seems like so many teams are still swinging for the fences and extras. I just don't get it. Jay Silla said, bunting and small ball are underrated. That one's definitely valid for me as well. It goes exactly with what I was saying about extra innings. So many guys are focused on hitting bombs these days. I feel like the best teams have a good mix of power and small ball like that. DBV Trash Talkers says, baseball zen is by far the worst fake ASMR out there. This is definitely valid. If you're unfamiliar, during commercial breaks on MLB TV, they sometimes have this thing called baseball zen. It started a few years ago with the most calming baseball sounds, but lately they will really just put anything in there and call it ASMR. Now, if it was a few years ago, this would be invalid, but this user makes a great point. It has definitely changed for the worse. JS for Days said, they ruined baseball with all the new rules to get more casual viewers. I'm gonna have to go invalid for this one. The pitch clock has been maybe one of the best changes the sport has ever seen. You take the dead time out of the game without losing any of the action. The bases being bigger has led to more stolen bases, which is more action, and the shift ban has led to more action as well. I feel like the last few years of baseball have been awesome with all these rule changes, and it's definitely showing in the ratings as well. Baseball is in a fantastic spot right now. Cody McCracken said, a pitcher should have to throw the 4 pitches to intentionally walk someone. This is definitely valid. It's the one rule change that I disagree with just a little bit. 99% of the time, the pitcher would just throw the 4 intentional walk pitches and nothing would happen. But there were the rare situations where a guy would get something to hit and take advantage of it. It also shouldn't be understated the effect that will have on the pitchers. A lot of times when they were intentionally walking walking somebody, the boos would be raining down, got in pitcher's head from time to time. I feel like that was a fun, genuine moment that's been lost throughout the years. Girl with Philly sign says bullpens should be soundproof and enclosed from fans. Super ironic this take comes from a Phillies fan. Seems like the Phillies fans are the ones that take advantage of this the most with the bullpens, but I'm gonna have to go invalid here. As long as fans aren't saying anything too bad, I feel like it's a fun aspect of the sport. Of course, there are the one-off bad eggs that kind of give it a bad rep sometimes, but for the most part, I feel like it's a really cool way to get in that opposing team's head before a game. C. Kuri says the DH sucks, make the pitchers hit. Honestly, I'm surprised there's people that still feel this way. I'm gonna go invalid for this take. It's been a while since we've seen pitchers hit, but let's not forget how ugly that was most of the time. I get that it added some more strategy to the game, but it really was just an automatic out, and in my opinion, didn't really add much to the game at all. I'd much rather have a home run type hitter penciled into the lineup than an automatic out every night. Jenna McCasey said the fact that stadium size isn't something that's regulated is a little whack. Gonna have to go invalid for this one. I think that's one of the most fun parts of baseball. It's the only sport where every stadium is a little bit different, and I feel like it adds to the uniqueness and allure of the sport. You have to go into every stadium with a little bit different strategy, and it gives the home teams a little advantage playing in the same ballpark for half the season. Ballpark Travelers said the pitch clock and runner on second and extras have ruined baseball. Ruined baseball is a big claim right there. Definitely gonna have to go invalid. These rules speed up the game and took out a lot of the dead time, like I said. I can understand a baseball purist not liking the runner on second rule, but both teams are afforded it, and it's not a rule in the playoffs, so I feel like it's totally fine. And the pitch clock, I don't know how anybody could argue against that at this point. Again, baseball's as popular as it's ever been right now, and I don't think that's a coincidence with these rule changes. Bojel says Yankees facial hair rule was elite and they shouldn't have succumbed to the pressure on it. I'm gonna go semi-valid on this one. The team's reasoning for getting rid of it was they didn't want to lose out on any potential players in the future. While I do agree with that, I did think the rule was pretty cool and unique. At the end of the day, I'm not really upset about it though, and it did seem like a long time coming. Invasion of Mike said the Marlins should move their sculpture back to left center field. It gave the park character. Totally valid. I could not agree more on this sentiment. It might be an unpopular opinion, but that home run sculpture was absolutely elite. The inside of the ballpark just looks a little more dull and less fun without it. It is still out in the front of the ballpark though, so I'm glad they didn't completely get rid of it. Jared Orkin says Astros players should not be booed anymore for what happened 8 years ago in 2017. Found the Astros fan. I'm gonna go semi-valid for this one, but hear me out. Only players that were on the Astros in 2017 should be getting booed. So I think on the Astros currently the only one is Jose Altuve. The players that have left should keep getting booed on their respective teams for sure, but nobody like a Yordan Alvarez who wasn't involved at all should be getting booed. SC Bean says banana ball is better than MLB baseball. I get why certain types of people would think this, but for me this is definitely invalid. I do really appreciate that banana ball is growing the game of baseball though, and it's one of the contributing factors to why the sport is booming in popularity right now. I think both sports have their place and I appreciate both of them, but Major League Baseball will always be the best. Brand Jarvis says get a lot of hate as a diehard Cubs fan, but the bleachers are overrated. Oh my gosh, this is definitely invalid. The bleachers at Wrigley Field are one of the most fun places to watch a baseball game. The only way that I could see them being overrated is if they get too hot in the sun, but other than that, the fans are super passionate and it's a great time out there. Gary Martinecki said players walkout songs should be played for both teams at any given stadium/game. Interesting opinion right here. I'm definitely gonna go invalid. I would hate for one of my rivals walk-up songs to get played in my home stadium. Totally throws the vibes off, and it's one of the cool home field advantages that baseball has. Ray White and Blue said the Rays trashed parts of Tropicana themselves and blamed it on the hurricane. Ray, this is a big accusation here. I'm gonna need to see proof from this. I'm gonna have to go invalid because I have not heard anything like that, but if anybody has some information to prove it, I'd love to hear it. Bob Bua said the Red Sox need to build a new stadium. Now this is definitely a hot take. I don't know how many people are thinking this, Bob. I'm definitely gonna have to go invalid. I definitely think Fenway needs some renovations to modernize it like Wrigley Field has done, but I think it would be kind of sacrilege to the sport to get rid of Fenway Park. We're about halfway through right now, and these hot takes are only gonna get spicier. If you guys have any hot takes for yourselves, definitely drop them down in the comments and they might get featured in part 2. All right, our next category is just gonna be sports in general. Evan Sully said the new transfer portal rules have ruined college sports. I'm gonna go semi-valid on this one. Ruined is a strong word. I wouldn't say they're ruined. The landscape has definitely changed quite a bit though. I think college basketball especially is the sport that suffered the most. It seems like every season the teams are just entirely different now. There's no carryover year to year, but some of the other sports are still holding pretty strong. I know football has a lot of transfers, but the problem isn't nearly as big as basketball is. And then there's other sports like hockey where it seems like it hasn't affected it at all. So I can definitely see where you're coming from with that, but I wouldn't say it ruined college sports. Persian Groove said eliminate video replay. It's wrong enough of the time that it's not worth the delays, etc. I'm gonna have to go invalid for this one. The only thing I need to bring up for my argument is the Armando Galarraga non-perfect game. Avoiding moments like that was the goal of instant replay. I get that they haven't overturned calls that have seemed pretty obvious lately, honestly. So I understand the frustration with it, but I feel like people are forgetting about the past when they have opinions like this. No sports have a perfect system, but overall video replay is definitely a good thing. Eput Miller says jewelry should not be allowed in professional sports. I'm gonna have to go semi-valid for this one. There are definitely sports where it shouldn't be allowed, like basketball, football, hockey, sports where it could easily get ripped off or hurt somebody. But for a sport like baseball, I don't see why it should be. Guys love wearing their chains and stuff like that, and I don't see any problem with it. Sam Turman says PEDs should be legalized in sports. I want my athletes like my video games. This is a crazy statement. I'm gonna go invalid for this. I know it sounds crazy, but if we legalize PEDs, what is the limit to that? With technology these days, I feel like we might see robots on the field at some point. We have to keep athletic achievement as human as possible for now. I can't lie, it did make baseball more exciting back in the 90s, but at the end of the day, it's not really fair and it does taint the sport. 50-50 with Cristobal says stadium food is garbage. Anything more than a hot dog is too much. You guys know the type of content that I make. This is absolutely invalid. If you don't like some of the crazy offerings at stadiums these days, just don't buy them. You could always just still buy a hot dog. Certain people like myself love all the different offerings, and it seems like it's only getting crazier and crazier, which is awesome. M. Eban says gimmick hot dog should be banned. No, I don't want brisket chunks or a chicken strip on it. Invalid here for sure. Again, just don't order it. You could always get a regular hot dog if you want. Connor Hahn says Chicky and Pete's crab fries are a top 5 ballpark snack. I'm gonna go semi-valid on this one. I don't think they're a top 5 snack, but I do appreciate you bringing them up because they are an elite ballpark food. My one thing is you have to have them with the nacho cheese dip to make them complete, but overall, very, very solid dish. V. Torino says if you don't want to stand at playoff/important games, then you should have stayed home. Ooh, this is definitely a spicy one, but I'm gonna say valid. There are very rare occurrences in the regular season where everybody should be standing up, but if you go to a playoff game and you're yelling down in front the whole time, you really shouldn't be there. Crazy atmospheres, including standing up, are a huge part of the playoffs in every sport, and I feel like there are way too many people that don't understand that. The first Ben Moore says each sport should allow teams to have their home field, court, ice be whatever dimensions they want. Now obviously this is the case with baseball with the outfield walls, but for every other sport I'm going invalid here. There's just really no limit to how crazy this could get, and none of the other sports are really set up to allow for this at all. For baseball, it's part of the quirky uniqueness of the game, but for other sports it would drastically change the way it's played by too much. Gloss fan says sitting up high is a much better viewing experience to follow the game than sitting field level. I'm gonna go semi-valid on this one. I love the chance to sit close and be really close to the action sometimes, but other times sitting in the upper deck is an awesome experience where you can see everything really well. Some of my favorite seats to sit in at baseball games are the upper deck right behind home plate, so definitely some truth to this take right here for sure. Kai Elliott says American teams can't call themselves world champions if they're the only country to play that sport. I understand where this person is coming from, so I'm gonna say semi-valid. The major American sports like MLB, NBA, NFL, and NHL, they're all the premier leagues for the world in their sport. You have players from all over the world joining these leagues to play with the best of the best, so you really are playing amongst the world's best players. I understand that it's weird calling the champion the world champion. Maybe it should be rebranded in some sports to be something else, but with how crazy it sounds, there still is some validity to that title. All right, for our next category, we have some uniform hot takes. I do not know how I should say this username, but they said home team should wear white in the NHL. Overwhelmingly valid take right here. I feel like in all sports, the home team should wear white. That means that the road team is wearing their team colors, and I feel like that's so much cooler of an experience if you go to a lot of games or you watch a lot of games on TV. Every home game, the game looks different with different colors, whereas when the home team wears their primary color, the road team's always going to wear white and the matchup's always going to look the same. Chef Nakatomi says Padres have the worst unis in baseball. Definitely invalid right here. I might have been on your side when they still had the navy and white, but the gold and the brown is such a unique colorway and I think it looks awesome. Not to mention their City Connect uniforms with the teal and the pink. Not only do I think they're not the worst, I think the Padres have one of the best sets in the entire league. Adrian Pisano says Nike and the NBA ruined uniform etiquette with no more true home and away. I'm gonna have to go valid on this one. Teams still have a white and a primary color jersey, but they wear them whenever they want at will. It has taken away some of the pageantry that the NBA had. Some of the uniform matchups don't make any sense to me at all. This is one of the stronger takes that we have here for sure. Jariza says Yankees are corny for not having a City Connect. I'm gonna go valid on this one. I am a Yankees fan, but they are corny for not having one. They claim it's for tradition and because they don't have any alternate uniforms, but how awesome would it be to see a Bronx or a New York City themed City Connect for them? Maybe it'll happen at some point, maybe it won't, but I'm definitely rooting for that. May Ilam says coaches wearing full uniforms is cringy and awkward. Obviously they're talking about baseball right here, and that's a valid take. Definitely seems pretty antiquated. It is just a weird look when you have an 80-year-old man wearing a baseball jersey with baseball pants. Who knows if this will ever get changed, but I'm definitely on this person's side. Tommy Fawcett says City Edition uniforms should work like MLB City Connect. New ones each year is too much. Totally valid right here. If you don't know, major league teams get a new City Connect uniform every 3 or 4 years. In the NBA, the teams get a new City Edition edition jersey every year, which is way too much. And over the years, it's shown that Nike kind of ran out of ideas for certain teams. Every 3 or 4 years keeps it fresh while also letting you sit with a uniform for a few years to enjoy it. Pat the GOAT says the blue and red Miami Marlins City Connect jerseys are extremely overrated. I mean, definitely gonna have to go invalid for this one. No response needed. Jose Martinez says the City Connects uniforms are hideous and shameful money grab, all of them. I'm gonna go with semi-valid here, only because of the money grab part. That's definitely the motivation for teams having so many uniforms. But not every one of them has been hideous. There's actually been some really awesome designs over the years. I feel like people love to hate on the City Connect, and everyone that comes out just say it's bad right away. But you have to admit, especially lately, there have been some awesome and unique designs. Andrew Schrick says the Blue Jays powder blue is the best powder blue in the MLB, and it's not close. Invalid, the best powder blue uniform in MLB is the St. Louis Cardinals, and it's not even close. Anywhere Golf says the new National City Connect jerseys are better than their old ones. I'm gonna go invalid here. I wouldn't say they're definitely better, but I do really love the Nationals new City Connect. Those gray cherry blossom ones though were my favorite of the entire first round of City Connects. Super hard to beat. Their new powder blue ones are cool, but not that cool. And that is it for the sports hot takes. Thank you guys so much for sending in all of your opinions. Let me know what you think about the hot takes that we showed here. And if you want to see a part 2 to this video, definitely let me know in the comments. We're gonna need some more spicy hot takes for that video, so while you're there, drop your own too. With that, if you guys like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching.